What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. Now today, I'm finally going to upload an Attitude Era video. It's long overdue. Now, I don't recall seeing any of you guys requesting this video, but I just decided to make this one because my channel doesn't have many Attitude Era videos at the moment. More Attitude Era content will be coming in the future, such as the Brood, the Corporation, and the Ministry, which will be in one video because both of them merged. I might even have to do an Armageddon 2000 video this week. Edge and Christian's feuds with the Hardys and the Dudleys. There's a lot of Attitude Era videos I'm going to do. For this week, the content's most likely going to be Team Hell No, Armageddon 2000, and probably Zack Ryder's Push, which is a video I'm really interested in making. Now, this video is about Stone Cold Steve Austin and the game Triple H's feud. This is the first part in a two-part series that I'm going to be posting because this one's already long enough. And I'd figured the second part, I could talk about who ran over Stone Cold and all that stuff. By the way, I just want to apologize for my microphone because the volume fluctuates randomly. It goes up and down. I don't get it. Anyways, I apologize for the microphone. And right now, let's get to the video. Now, for this video, let me take you all the way back to June of 1999. Stone Cold Steve Austin had just captured the WWF Championship from The Undertaker in a match which garnered the highest ratings for a Raw segment in history. The This Is Your Life segment isn't even the highest rated segment ever. It's this match. If you think it's This Is Your Life, it's not, by the way. That's just something that Vince Russo said, I think. It's this match. It got a 9.5 rating, I believe, and it's the highest rating segment WWE has had in the last 20 years. Let me talk about Triple H right now. Triple H was a member of the corporate ministry, which was led by Mr. McMahon and The Undertaker. The game at King of the Ring helped the dead man retain his title after Austin the Great won the match. This led to a steel cage match on the July 5th, 1999 episode of Raw. The Rock won that match, but the feud still continued. Triple H and The Rock were booked in a scrap match at Fully Loaded, with the winner facing the WWF champion at SummerSlam. The match was pretty solid, and Triple H won the match after Billy Gunn interfered in the game, caught the Great One off guard with a pedigree. I will say, though, that The Rock made me burst out with that interview before the match. He tore Hunter apart. First of all, he complimented Michael Cole on his shirt before saying it's 25 cents. Then he mentioned the game's promo with JR. A little side note, I believe that promo made Triple H a star. He talked about how he's the game and that SummerSlam is his time, but The Rock destroyed all of that in his interview with Michael Cole. The Rock told the game that they kept him at the bottom of the barrel because he absolutely sucks. The Rock began praising himself to end the promo. One of The Rock's best promos, in my opinion. He verbally destroyed the game. Anyways, let's focus on Stone Cold. On that same night, the Texas Rattlesnake faced The Undertaker in a first blood match. You know, somebody's gotta bleed, somebody's gonna leave. If Austin loses, then he can't challenge for the title. If Undertaker loses, then McMahon's gone. First of all, the match was epic. Mainly because of everyone around them. The commentators, the crowd. It was epic. Plus, Shane O'Mac took a vicious, brutal chair shot. X-Pac crashed the party later on by kicking The Undertaker in the head, which led to Stone Cold hitting the dead man with the camera. The ref would notice that The Undertaker is bleeding and he'd call for the bell. And then a brawl between The Undertaker and Stone Cold erupted, and then Triple H came out and he brawled with Austin, but then The Rock came out and it escalated into an Attitude Era brawl. The Undertaker even blasted Shane by accident. And per the stipulation, McMahon was gone, but before he left, the WWF champion gave the chairman a handshake and a stunner. Due to all this mess occurring at Fully Loaded, the corporate ministry was no more. The match between Triple H and Stone Cold at SummerSlam had several changes made to it. First of all, Jesse the Body Ventura was announced as the referee for that bout before Triple H won the right to be #1 contender. Then, Hunter's title shot was given to China after the game lost his right to face Austin in a triple threat match that also included The Undertaker. This would lead to the game insulting China after the Ninth Wonder of the World refused to give her spot back to Triple H, and a one-on-one match was made between Triple H and China with the winner going to SummerSlam. I really think they were planning on having China face Austin. I'm not sure if anyone knows the whole story. Please mention it down below in the comments section. Back to Hunter and China. Mankind would randomly return after 3 months out, and he'd cost Triple H the match, which led to China retaining her spot in the match at SummerSlam. Mankind would challenge China himself for the right to face Austin, but she'd refuse to do so. Out came Shawn Michaels, who booked the match between the two. Mankind would win the match, but Triple H once again wanted his title shot. Shane McMahon came out and he booked Mankind versus Triple H. That match would end in a draw after both men's shoulders were down. So it was made a triple threat match at SummerSlam. The match at SummerSlam was good, but the result was quite weird. Don't get me wrong, I like that Mankind won the match, but it felt like Triple H's time. This was building up to the game capturing the WWF Championship. Now, there are two theories to this result. First is Austin refusing to put over the game. Now, this one's quite a bit off in my opinion. Sure, he didn't want to put over Jeff Jarrett, but that's because Jarrett had an issue with Austin. And plus, Austin put over Triple H 2 months later, so what's the point? The other theory is that Jesse Ventura wanted to raise a good guy's hand. This is the theory I'm going with. Why? Well, Mankind was a good guy and he lost the title the next night anyways. Plus, Austin most likely didn't have a problem putting over the game. Also, another thing, Triple H wasn't ready. Sure, he had momentum, but he wasn't that damn good. No pun intended. It wasn't until a few months later that the game was ready to be the man. Like, he could hold the title, sure, but he can't beat Austin. Like, it'd feel off. Anyways, Mankind was a transitional champion, and Triple H destroyed Austin's knees to end SummerSlam. Triple H would capture the championship the next night, which if you watch right now feels weird. Triple H for me at the time was way beneath Austin and Rock. It wasn't until the feud with Vince and then Mick Foley where I feel like Hunter's on the same level as those two. Like, just compare Triple H of 1999 in a ring with Stone Cold to Triple H of 2001 in a ring with Austin. It feels different. The game afterwards made an enemy out of himself during the time period by taking out his competition and weirdly enough burying one of his rivals. That same night, Triple H opened an ambulance door and he found Stone Cold Steve Austin, who returned. Austin stomped a mud hole in the game and SmackDown ended with Stone Cold locking Triple H in an ambulance and Austin rammed a semi-truck into the ambulance. What the hell? The Attitude Era is crazy and there's nothing like it. First of all, The Rock and Sock Connection teamed up to face The Undertaker and Big Show. The Rock would get attacked by Triple H during the match backstage. Then Kane gets into it with Triple H. Mankind gets thrown into a grave and he bounced in the process of doing so. Triple H clocks Big Show with a sledgehammer. What the hell is this? It was amazing though. This match had all of the top guys from the Attitude Era. The next Raw had every top guy wanting a piece of Triple H. Triple H was escorted by police to the arena and to the ring. Triple H was booked to face Austin for the title, and there was a 5-man #1 contenders match for later that night. Everyone who had an issue with Triple H came down to the ring and got through the police, and it led to an all-out brawl. The match between Austin and Triple H wouldn't get going as the game got Stone Cold arrested for assault. Meanwhile, that 5-man match was a mess in a good way. Refs got knocked down, The Undertaker's best friend Teddy Long got assaulted too, WWF officials came out, then lower card guys came out and the rest of the locker room came out. It was freaking crazy. A rematch was made for that week's SmackDown, but it was a battle royal. Back to Austin and Triple H. Mr. McMahon had to be dragged into this mess after Triple H threatened his wife. Vince would get into it with Triple H, and then the glass shatters and the place blows up. This is the loudest I've heard JR shout, "Stone Cold, Stone Cold." Just go listen to it if you haven't. It's amazing. The crowd was wild. The bell rang and Austin, right out of the gate, or right out of jail, kicked Helmsley's ass. Once again, a referee got assaulted. This was a no contest and a cage came down. Austin ended Raw with a stunner on Triple H. And as you can see, the ref randomly fell down at one point. While Helmsley had issues with Austin, he also had 5 other issues he had to deal with in a 6-pack challenge at Unforgiven. If I were Triple H at this point, I'd probably have a panic attack. He refused to give Austin a rematch, and he told the Rattlesnake and the fans to kiss his ass. He also had to deal with Mr. McMahon after he insulted him several times. The Genetic Jackhammer faced Helmsley in a WWF Championship match on that week's SmackDown. Triple H gave Shane and Vince a beating. He gave him some brutal chair shots. As Triple H made McMahon bleed like a stuffed pig, Stone Cold came out and he gave Helmsley an ass whooping and then a stunner. Stone Cold then grabbed McMahon and put him on top of the game. 1, 2, 3. Mr. McMahon is champ. The WWF champion came out on that week's Raw and he announced that he isn't able to defend the championship and he's going to relinquish it. Stone Cold would come out and demand that McMahon gets his company back. Vince told Austin that he couldn't get involved in any business since he's unable to. Triple H then came out and he demanded a spot in the 6-pack challenge and began whining about last Thursday. Austin once again called for Vince to take control of his company. Then, the Texas Rattlesnake said that he's the only person that could reinstate Vince. Stone Cold offered a deal to Vince. He gets his title shot and Vince gets reinstated. So, Vince is back. Triple H would get inserted into the 6-pack challenge and Stone Cold is the enforcer of that match. This enraged Triple H. Now, the game was in the 6-pack challenge, but for him to keep his spot in the match, he's got to go through 5 of his opponents on SmackDown. He's got to win 3 of those 5 matches. First, he lost the Chokeslam Challenge match to Big Show. Then, he won the Inferno match. After that was a casket match against The Undertaker, which wouldn't happen because Undertaker quit, so he faced Viscera and Mideon. He lost that match. Following that one was a Boiler Room Brawl against Mankind, which he won after someone hit Mankind with a pole. And finally, the Brahma Bull Rope Strap match against The Rock. The Bulldog turned heel during that match to help the game capture the victory. If you remember, this was the time period where the refs went on strike, so the WWF backstage officials became refs. Anyways, the match at Unforgiven was epic. It's what you expect out of an Attitude Era main event. A hot crowd, the commentary team were awesome, the wrestlers brawled with one another, it was great. Stone Cold would get involved after the refs who were on strike interfered. Austin would whoop ass, and the Bulldog used a chair on The Rock, and he was about to do the same on Triple H, but Austin grabbed the chair and smashed it on Bulldog's head. Ouch. Triple H at the same time performed the pedigree on The Rock, and Austin was forced to count to 3. Austin handed the title to the Game, who rudely pried it off the Rattlesnake's hand, and then Austin hit the stunner on Triple H to end Unforgiven. Now, if you remember correctly, Austin had a title shot against Triple H, right? Well, that was booked for No Mercy, so the feud between the two continued heading into the pay-per-view. Triple H defended the WWF Championship against The Rock the next night. The Rock had the title won after Austin interfered and hit a stunner, and Rock hit a rock bottom. The ref took an hour to count the 3, and The Rock wouldn't win the match as the Bulldog crashed the party once again. Austin was literally fuming on commentary. The Rock and the British Bulldog had their own thing going, and obviously you know about the greatest people elbow of all time. But after that match on SmackDown, The Rock assaulted Triple H in the back. The Bulldog got involved, and Triple H would knock on his locker room door, assuming Chyna's opening the door. But we find Stone Cold, who proceeded to attack the Game. On that week's Raw, Triple H would deliver a clothesline to JR. He was so heartless in storyline. Another thing he did that was heartless on that week's SmackDown was using a sledgehammer on a rattlesnake. Like, he has got to be the most heinous heel from 99 all the way to 2006. Like, he was so horrible. They most likely didn't use a snake, but in storyline, it makes him such a bad person. Triple H teamed up with Chyna to face Stone Cold and good old JR. Weird tag match. The match didn't get going, and Austin and Triple H would brawl all over the Georgia Dome. The match was clearly abandoned, but these two would brawl at the end of the episode, and Austin would shut a door on Triple H, who was met by a rattlesnake. The Game would come out on that week's SmackDown with a snake bite on his face, as you could see. Triple H's voice sounded so different, and the fans chanted a-hole. These fans have no sympathy. Like, you see that he's bitten by a snake, and you're still chanting that? Helmsley called for Vince to come out, and he'd tell him that he didn't sign up for this, blah, blah, blah. Then he ends the promo saying that he's gonna hand the title to Austin, because some things in life are more important. Triple H was taken to the hospital later on. At the end of the episode, Triple H shockingly returned, and he entered Austin's locker room. The Game blamed Austin, and he handed him the title. Austin got sidetracked after Chyna said something, and Triple H would nail Stone Cold with a championship. Hunter removed the makeup, and he'd tell Austin that the title means more to him than it ever will to Steve Austin. Wow. The match at No Mercy was anything goes. Once again, the match was awesome, and again, it was an Attitude Era main event. So they went into the crowd, all that stuff. This might be their best match up to this point. Wait a minute. It's their first main event, so I can't really say it's their best match, but from what I see, they battled in like 98 and stuff, so this would probably be their best match up to this point. Triple H would find a way to win, aka the JBL special, after The Rock accidentally hit Austin with a sledgehammer. The Rock interfered because Helmsley attacked him with a sledgehammer earlier on. The next night on Raw, Rock and Austin demanded a title shot. The two would nearly brawl, but Mr. McMahon would solve the issue by booking a triple threat match for Survivor Series. Oh, and Vince himself is a special guest referee. Man, that seriously would have been an awesome match. Like, it should have happened at least once. It would have been great. Anyways, DX reformed during the build-up to Survivor Series, and Stone Cold pranked DX, which led to one of the craziest endings in SmackDown history. Austin trapped DX in a net, and then this escalated into a brawl between Austin and DX. Then the lights went out, Kane came out. The Rock would come out afterwards, and they gave DX their finishers to end SmackDown. On the final SmackDown before Survivor Series, Stone Cold accidentally nailed The Rock with a chair. A few seconds later, Arnold Schwarzenegger handed Stone Cold a chair, and the Texas Rattlesnake would whack the Game with that chair. The Game would lose the match to Test, and Triple H would realize this, and he'd go up to Schwarzenegger, and he'd go in for a right hand, but the Terminator ducked and backhand slapped the Game. Austin would also get involved, and he'd hand the Game some right hands to end SmackDown. At Survivor Series, Stone Cold was being interviewed by Kevin Kelly when Triple H attacked Austin. Triple H would run away while Austin was in pursuit. Stone Cold in the parking lot began to look for the Game, but instead a car would run over the Texas Rattlesnake. Obviously, you know this storyline, but I'm just gonna talk about it in the next video because this video is already too long, and plus I can make a part 2 where I talk about the rest of this feud. Austin couldn't compete at Survivor Series because he had a neck injury, so that is why they had someone run him over. I don't know why they advertised the match though, because that was kind of a clickbait thing. Anyways, I'm gonna make a part 2 of this feud. It's gonna be talking about the aftermath of Survivor Series 99, the aftermath of everything. I'm going to talk about when Austin returned and Steve Blackman was believed to be the culprit, all that stuff. That's it for this video. Make sure you hit a pedigree on the like button and perhaps a Stone Cold Stunner on the subscribe button. Peace, I'm out.